We're going live!
We're live! We're live. Welcome to our second episode here, isn't it, I guess? Brad doesn't look like he's making it right now. He said he might be a little bit late, but, I wonder if there's anybody even on right now. It doesn't look like anybody's watching us, so we can kind of just do whatever.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What's the newest exciting news you got going on in your world? Share it with the social media world right now.
I just found out that one of the guys I did a deal with got an offer on his property way more than we were expecting.
Oh.
That guy's on the call.
That guy's on the call right now, and I'm extremely happy for him, and I hope it all goes through really well.
Let's grow with
Cali.
That's
awesome.
All right,
yeah,
Vinod,
that's awesome.
Actually, the whole reason for our topic this week was because of a question Vinod asked last week, and he's actually on right now. I see his comment. He's saying hi. Hi, Vinod. How are you?
Hey, Vinod, how's it going, brother?
So, Cali's you've been in the game for about a decade. You were saying, just a little over, right? So, why don't you start off with your first few deals? Like, how did that go for you? What did those look like? What was your situation? And like, how did you find it difficult when you were first going forward?
Yeah, man. So by the time I bought my first income property, I already had like a primary residence. So I already had broken my, home buyer virginity. But when it came to the income property side of things, it was more intimidating because, I was thinking to myself, like, man, somebody else is gonna have to pay this mortgage for me, right? I'm gonna have to get tenants, and if they don't pay, like, what am I gonna do, right? So I remember picking a lot of people's brains and just asking anybody I knew who already like had income properties and asked them how they did it. And you read the Rich Dad Poor Dad and the No Nonsense Landlord, just different books to like kind of give me some guidance. I knew that I wanted to do it for a while, and back then, I think the first property I bought was like $123,000, right? Which today is worth a lot more. But how I came about it is I had a buddy who was investing in the Oshawa area, and he had bought a rental property. And we talked about it sometimes, and I asked, he was one of the people whose brains I picked around it. So there was comfort and confidence there. And one day I was in Oshawa at a basketball tournament, and the team I was watching was my old high school. Give a shout out to Oakwood Collegiate here in Toronto. And it was between games. And I remember my buddy had his place in Oshawa, and between games, I was like, you know what? I went on realtor.ca and I started looking because I knew the home prices were low there. And I found an apartment, like a condo townhouse that was on sale, or that was for sale. So I was like, you know what? I have 2 hours. I'm not going to go all the way back to Toronto. While I'm here, why don't I check the real estate? Because I'm always, interested in real estate. So I ended up calling the realtor. The place was vacant. I was able to go see the place that day. I walked through it. It was a 3-bedroom. 3-bed, 2-bath. And the asking price was like, I don't know, 130 or something like that. So the realtor gave me confidence based off my conversations with my buddy, gave me confidence in other people. So I put in an offer and ended up getting it for $123,000. And the craziest thing is that I called my buddy after and I was like, hey man, where's this income property you have? I just bought something in Oshawa, to share my win with him. And it was the same building. It was the exact same address that he owned. So that was pretty cool. And pardon me?
You ended up buying your friend's deal.
No, in the same townhouse. So like he owned one of the units, and I ended up buying another unit. Yeah, in the same complex, right? So fast forward, fast forward, I had a tenant in there, and awesome guy. You know, he was a student who was a foreign student, so he was like, the rent was being paid by his government. He came from Saudi Arabia, and he was going to get married and bring his family over, and or start a family. So he was renting for me for about a year, and he said, hey, do you I have a buddy who wants to, who's looking to rent a place. Do you have any other places? And I was like, no, but let me see if I can get one. So
nice.
So I called up my buddy, and lo and behold, he had just signed a contract with his realtor to sign a place. So if I called him like an hour or so earlier, we could have kept the realtor out of it and made a better deal. But I ended up buying that one from him. And the guy that moved in there a year later or so, he's like, hey, do you know anybody else? Do you have any other places? So then I went and bought another one. And so now here we are. But it was good. Like, I started out really small. The down payment that I needed for something like that was under 10,000, right, for my first one. Because I was working in Alberta, my address didn't really need to make sense, so I was able to use that as my primary, so that was good, man. So that's how it all got started, and that was my story. How about you guys, man? Like, what's going on?
That's awesome. It's crazy how, like, you know what I mean? Your mindset right there. I just want to point it out, like, how instead of being like, okay, I got to do another one, as soon as you found out that there was another tenant that you could possibly have, you went and looked for another one. Like,
there's the man I shall supply.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. Well, the cool thing was, there was, in my mind at least, there was very little risk in that tenant profile, because they were here as students on a scholarship that was based off of their academic grading. So they weren't going to be partying. They're coming from Saudi Arabia. They were really school focused. They weren't here to party and to do those types of things. They were getting married, starting the families. So, and then the government was giving them way more than what the rent was, like 3.5 times what the rent was.
Oh, wow.
On top of paying for their education and healthcare. So they had the funds, so there was very little risk, right? So I was like, man, this is the perfect tenant. So I ended up at one time I had about six units with all students from Saudi Arabia, right? From this program that they just, word of mouth. So it worked out to be pretty good. I'm pretty fortunate for that. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Actually, there's a question here too, Cali. Yeah, Vinod's asking.
Okay, I can't see.
Vinod's asking, were they all financed by you? Like, were all your rentals financed by you, or were you using like private lending, or how'd that go?
No, good question, Vinod. So they were financed by me. The first two, actually, I might have got help from my father for one of the down payments, like borrowed $5,000 or $10,000 and then paid him back when I got my taxes or something like that. So I don't think I had to pay him interest, which was cool, but that helped. The first two were I financed like through the bank, and then by the third one, I was at the stage where I was starting to do the BRRRR, so I was able to refinance, and then that helped out tremendously. So it was, they were all just myself and the bank, and then I had later on I started getting, like, I had a joint venture come in, because I was buying these units in the same townhouse complex because I knew it, I understood it, I was working away, I was traveling back and forth. It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Just keep going at it, right? So it worked out good for me.
Did you just start door? That's
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Own the entire complex.
Yeah.
That's right.
So like,
yeah,
Alex, why don't we talk a little bit about your first few deals? How did those look? You know what I mean? What were your struggles?
In many ways, it feels like a lifetime ago, given what's been happening only in the past 6 to 12 months. But I guess I was smart enough to listen to reason in my early 20s and commit what little money I had, as well as a bonus from my current job at the time. Hey, Brad.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, I was able to use my whatever money I had saved up to get into the first time home buyers plan with like 5 or 10% down. Bought a 3-bedroom bungalow for me to move in. So and it was ready. I moved into it. I stayed there for about 3 years myself. Life was good, and then I decided to complicate it by getting married, which was the best decision that I was ever coerced into.
Yeah, she's not listening, is she?
She listening?
So at that point, we wanted to buy, I guess, a better area, whatever it was, a new house of our own together. So instead of selling mine, I decided to rent that house out. And that place was rented up until this past summer in 2020, when I finally sold it for a considerable profit. But not only that, I decided to, well, hey, this works. I can rent it out. So let's buy another one. And so this was 2012. So I saw the first one kind of take off and run on its own. I had a wonderful lady stay there. She had a bunch of dogs that had a big backyard. So she that was a value to her. So I bought another bungalow in Hamilton, 2012. And I just changed some flooring, did a little bit of painting, and got that rented out to a family. And that turned out to be professional tenants. So a few things like, for what it's worth, the guy's name was Les, and I've always, he went by Les, and I always assumed that his name was Lester. Turned out that it was Leslie, and if you Google his first and last name, you'll find his police record, or like he ended up going to jail, and that's how they stopped paying, and then they just continued on for about 6 months, and I had to evict him with the sheriff. And really, the day I was supposed to show up with the sheriff, or the day the sheriff was supposed to evict him, the day prior to that, they moved out. So they knew how to play the system quite well. So that was, a bit of a wake-up call on what being a landlord might look like. I then rented that place out 2 more times to 2 more tenants, each one only staying there for about 8 to 10 months. But these were great tenants. They just had valid reasons that they had to move out sooner rather than later. So my point here is that after not even 3 years, the market had already increased. I got spooked by these events, and I sold it. And then I went just pretty much completely out of the real estate, the remotely active real estate game for up until recently. And I guess what I wanted to get to on this is that in hindsight, I've been thinking this for a while now. Had I had either any sort of mentorship or being in any sort of remotely close room like we are now, I think I would have been able to obtain some advice against either selling it or how to better manage. As soon as they stopped paying, I kind of kept calling them. I didn't file any paperwork for about a month and a half. So that first month and a half was my fault. I think that could have been handled. That would have been handled a lot differently if I had, if I was in this type of room, or if I had this sort of mentorship.
Yeah.
So that was my second deal, and then so I got out of that in 2017. I still made about 60 grand. Sorry, 2015, from 2012 to 2015. So we still did well on it. Didn't end up losing money, but it kind of spooked me, and it just kept me away from it for a few more years until I realized that there's still potential.
Alex, that's awesome, man. Can you elaborate a little bit on like the experience of going through that eviction process? Is that something I've never gone through before, but like I think maybe people would benefit from hearing your firsthand experience of how that was.
Yeah, well, so again, it's you do need to feel very comfortable within your own skin and being able to get up there in front of them, have all your ducks in a row. Like I think we've heard Adam talk about this, but I have it firsthand from a paralegal that I have a pretty good relationship with now, that will confirm that oftentimes the biggest problem that landlords will have is their own paperwork or lack thereof, their own planning when they go in front of the board to make their case. So in terms of documenting everything that goes on. So, you don't want to be that landlord that always answers the call at 11 o'clock that the toilet's backed up, but you do want to be responsible and be able to address problems. So things like this, if they're good, if the tenant is a professional tenant and they track that down and they track down your lack of response, that can play against you. So little things like that, just being in that room watching the process of eviction get delayed because of stupid shit, they're never going to rule against you. If they owe you a few months worth of rent, they're always going to agree, yeah, they owe it, but they'll delay your eviction process, which is what hurts the most. Once you have a bad tenant, you just want them out. So it's learning that, and they do treat it as a negotiation, even though to me, it's nothing's negotiable anymore. They owe me a few months worth of rent. It's not negotiable. But even the board will see it. Well, okay, so where can we meet in the middle to make this happen? How? Why?
Right. Yeah. So documentation.
Documentation and just being prepared for if they want to screw you, they will. Just find the best way to get rid of them is to scale up, to move forward. Then they tell me that if they don't pay, I can go in the collections. Like, good luck drawing blood from a stone.
Yeah.
I just want him out, man.
Right.
Wow. So like that just sounds crazy. Like having to deal with all that. Like, I mean, you mentioned it took 6 months to get rid of them after that, and that was just delayed with paperwork and negotiations.
Yeah, so the first month and a half was my problem. Then there's a process, and I don't know because I think it has changed. For the better or the worse, I don't know, but I think it has changed since 2013, even in Hamilton. But it was a process. Like you give them notice, then you get a hearing, and then they book you in to actually. But then whatever is happening, like that's not a month process. That's just whatever the backlog is. So if it's busy, you would go to the back of the line, and you could be 3-4 months out. In that case, for me, I think it totaled in the 5.5 months worth of non-payments. So from the time they stopped payment to the time that I was able, and that's probably a good case. I've heard of much worse cases.
Yeah. Especially now with COVID, you can imagine.
Oh, right. Yeah. You almost want to make sure you have that much of something like, to back up that amount of time in case somebody doesn't pay, right? Like just like your fund to make sure that you're covered for that situation, right?
Well, yes.
That's just it, eh? Don't get into something where you don't have reserves.
So
I'd say that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that most new investors get into. They just think it's going to be great. Oh, I'm cash flowing a couple $100 a month. This is awesome. And then something happens and they're like, oh, if you don't have any reserves or any line of credit or anything, well, then what are you doing? Then you're chasing, right? So.
All I saw is my bank account being depleted by the mortgage payments.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, the first thing is the minute they don't pay, you serve them. And then the next step, if it gets like, I don't know, you use some buffer, you need to use your judgment there. But to me, I go to the paralegal right off the bat. I will pay for the paralegal to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's
right.
How who, not the how.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. How did your first few deals go, Brad? Let's hear your story and how that went.
Yeah, sure. So my first deal, I'd say it was a little bit delayed for what I really wanted it to be. I had an idea that I wanted to buy something in real estate and have a rental, but at the time, the network of people that I was dealing with, everybody had a bad experience, or everybody's family member had a bad experience or something, right? So there was always this pushback until finally we decided, all right, let's do it. So Kirsten and I, we bought a place in Guelph. We set it up. We were like, you know what? We're going to rent it out to students because then, typically there's more turnover and you're getting decent rents. And at the end of the day, as long as we screen properly, we're going to end up with good kids, right? And so that's how that worked out. So we got that one. We always made sure that we screened the tenants really well, always made sure that their parents were involved, always made sure that they were co-signing on it and they knew exactly what was going on. And we were like, at the time, it was like, man, we're making like $700-800 a month of cash flow out of this type of idea, right? And we were trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we do this more? And at the time, Kirsten was in school. So she had a line of credit to go to school. And I said, well, instead of paying school off right away with this big line of credit, let's go buy more stuff. So we actually bought some land for ourselves that we were going to build on. Long story short, if you're buying land, think about if it's for yourself, think about, okay, is that actually where you want to end up? Because sometimes you don't realize the cost associated with it until after you have, gotten yourself into it. And that one there, we ended up selling. On paper, it looked like we made a profit, but actually in the books, we probably lost a few grand because we had some carrying costs and stuff, right? So, but it was good. And then from there, we bought another house that was for our personal house. We bought a distressed house in Milton, renovated it a little bit, but had no money anymore. So we just basically made it so it was nice enough to live in. We were there for a couple of years, and then we moved out, and then we tried to sell it, actually. And it's funny. That was one of those moments where, people are always asking me, they're like, oh, well, why would people ever sell privately? Like, why wouldn't they just deal with a realtor? And here, that was our situation. We listed with a realtor. We had something like 100 showings in a matter of 4 days. And at this point in time, our oldest son, Owen, he was only days old. I think now we look back on it and Kirsten's like, I don't know how you ever let me agree to put a house up for sale when we had a 4-day-old kid. This was ridiculous.
That's a lot of showings.
Yeah. So it ended up that we ended up just keeping that one. We rented it. Eventually, we ended up selling it so we could pull capital to do renovations on our own house. And it's funny, nowadays when I look back on it, I think to myself, I'm like, wait, what was I thinking? We should have refinanced that and pulled the money out for the capital for what we wanted to do at the time. But hey, live and learn, right? But those were kind of the first few deals that we worked with. And it wasn't until we understood this whole, once we hit the end of the term of our first mortgage on the first rental property that we had as a student rental, and somebody had mentioned, they're like, oh, why don't you bring more money out of it, do a refinance on it because the value's gone up? And it's like, that's genius. All right, let's do it.
I can do that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Why, if I had known that you could do that in less than the term of your mortgage, I probably would have, but at the time, so that's what we did. We pulled more money out, and then we picked up another property, and now we still own that one, and that one's duplexed, and it's a good cash flowing asset right now. But yeah, it's one of those things you don't realize until you get to a point in time where you surround yourself with other people who are involved in it, surround yourself with a network, or look into the aspects of some coaching or mentorship. Your scale to speed is so slow. The reality of moving quickly and scaling quickly with other people is phenomenal. And I think that's the biggest thing. And there's tons of people out there who are moving forward. They're doing good things. They're making progress, and they're doing it on their own, which is where I came from, where I'm like, hey, I can do this on my own. I can figure it out. I'm smart enough. Oh, I can I have a pretty good mind around this, and we'll get going forward. But yeah, man, I think back now and I'm like 10 years ago, if I had been in a situation where I could have surrounded myself with other people who had a similar mindset or were like-minded or had more knowledge than what you would ever have, who knows where we'd be right now. But so that's why you just keep moving forward now, right?
You can get a lot more free content online now than you did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's still not involved, man. It's not there's no skin in the game on that free content. If you happen to find the right story you can follow and you're disciplined enough, there are people that have managed, that have gotten to high places without mentorship, but
yeah. Usually what's ended up happening in a lot of those cases, though, you've always ended up, I would say most people have ended up on the coattails of somebody. Mm-hmm. They've come across somebody, or they've had a conversation with somebody that led them down a path, and then they made relationships. Even if all it was a relationship with one individual, if that one individual was going the place that you thought, hey, I'd like to go there, then that's all it takes, right? It's not that,
That's the thing. Nobody's self-made as much as everybody, people maybe want to use that as a brand or whatever. Like nobody's actually self-made. There's somebody's helping you along the way, whether it's directly or indirectly, or if you're paying for it or not paying for it. And I think that all of us agree that being in a mastermind has definitely increased our speed as to how fast that we're doing deals now, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is to get over. Sorry, Cal.
The proof of concept, like for all these ideas that, investment ideas and strategies that we think of, they're proven when you're rubbing shoulders with the people who are doing it. So then now you have the confidence to take the action, to make the moves, because the biggest reason why most people don't do it, I think, is we can all agree is because of fear of the unknown, right? But if you're standing beside or you're talking to somebody who is in the known, so not the unknown, but the known, who knows, then you leverage their confidence. So you're able to take action based off of your buddy or your mentor, whoever, someone else who's beside you doing what you want to do. It just makes it that much easier, and I think that's what it all boils down to, right?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I just want to answer a question here. Vinod posted that he asked me if the process for eviction was much easier here in NB than it is in Ontario, and I'm proud to say very much easier. Yeah, like here I'm pretty sure it's like you could probably get away with 30 days, but the general consensus is 60 days. But I mean, if you're on a lease, you give them 30 days before the end of the lease and let them know that they will be moving on from there, and that's pretty much it. There's not a ton of stuff like you guys are discussing. If they're not paying, you can get them out relatively quickly.
You're probably thinking, like, what are these guys talking about? What's this drama with tenants and eviction? What is this?
Most of you guys that I deal with now are in Ontario anyway, so I hear these horror stories all the time, and I'm like just glad I don't have to deal with that.
But it's about what my experience has been, and I'd like to think that I've matured in many ways on that end, but by no means we do want anyone to get deterred from that. There is still an opportunity to do very well by landlording as long as you plan it well enough in advance. One way that I now like to think that I mitigate risk is, so I will take on landlording on duplex conversions, but more, I guess what I'm getting at is recently renovated places that I've added value to that I can now demand like top end or above market rents. So theoretically, that should attract a higher level of tenants. My due diligence is also far better. Even Googling the goddamn name, man. See what comes up, which is clearly not what I did.
Yeah. Well, we're almost running out of time here, so I'm just going to quickly touch on like the first couple deals that I did as well. So here in Moncton, I actually only got into real estate, like I said, in the last couple of years, where I just went from idea to actually acting upon it, right? Like I searched around for quite a while for the right people to get the information from. Like we also agree that that can be an issue as well, right? So it took me about 6 months before I actually did my first deal. I started doing my advertising, and I found this. I got a call from somebody who said that their parents had owned a house that they were looking to sell. And I went and had a look at this because I was like, oh yeah, let's do a deal. Let's do a deal. And I go see this, and it's a hoarder house in the middle of nowhere, just basically in like a farmer's field, like pretty rough shape. And I'm just sitting there and trying to figure out how can I make this work. I was very, very motivated to do a deal at this point. So I ended up putting it under contract and ended up buying it for next to nothing. Like our purchase price on this property was $13,500. Wow. So we bought it outright. Me and my buddies spent a month or two just cleaning it up and getting all the junk out of there. I think we went through 7 or 8 full-size bins to get all the garbage out of this place, and just kind of going back and forth. And I mean, it ended up being a hassle, and neither one of us really knew what we were doing, right? So we just kind of were winging it the way as we went along, and anyways, we weren't sure how it was going to work out. We were going to try to just do a quick wholesale on it, right? Clean it all up and then just resell it, put it back up on the market. So we ended up doing that. We put it up for $45,000, and we ended up not being able to sell it at that price. So we were getting a little frustrated. We ended up finding a buyer who wanted to do it, but couldn't come up with the down payment. So we sold it as a VTB. So anyways, our total investment on it was $18,000. We ended up selling it for $45,000 on a 15% VTB for 5 years, 5-year amortization and 5-year term. So we're actually going to end up pulling, I think, about $70,000 out of it in the end.
Oh, wow. First deal. Nice.
On the first deal. So it was it's ended up being about a 300% return on it. So we're each going to be getting for $500 a month for 5 years, right? Just selling it as VTB. So, I mean, I would have never had a clue how to do that if I hadn't have gotten involved with the mastermind that, you know what I mean, and figured all this information out. And from there, I also realized that I didn't want to really be doing that as a strategy. I decided, like, as much as, you know, it was, and I might not do that particular strategy again, but I mean, it's nice to know that there's an option, and maybe if the right deal comes along, I might again. But I decided to go into wholesaling after that, and was able to wholesale some deals after that. But yeah, you have to go, Brad.
Got to run, guys.
All right,
good luck. Good day. Yeah,
that's duty.
Shawn, that's a big win for your first deal, man. That's and like you mentioned, right? It's like, you know, myself, Brad, Alex, we're sharing our experiences from no real like formal mentorship or coaching, just like a gut of, hey, let's just go do it. And you started out, you had that, like to be able to come up with like a VTB option and all these different strategies that people aren't even familiar with. It's pretty cool. Like that kind of pays for your coaching and mentorship right there, right? It's like return on investment immediately.
But
I put $0 in it, and I forgot to mention too, there was like some stuff that we pulled out of there that we ended up selling as well. So on top of that, like we made another $5,000 off of selling stuff and put a $5,000 fee on top of that as well. So, and I mean, these are all things that I just learned you could do, and the fact that we were able to purchase it outright, you know what I mean? Those strategies were definitely useful. And like you guys said, you guys all went into it and just kind of seated your pants, where I went and researched and found out all the information and then started doing deals, right? So it was like,
that's I was going to touch on that. Like, besides the unpleasant experience of not being able to flip it for the profit right away, why wouldn't you want to do more of these? Like,
I would do the deal again, but I wouldn't be the one cleaning the house out.
Oh,
I would pay somebody to do that next time, right? Like,
Makes sense.
It just ended up being, it was not one of my, but it's just like Ben says, like, I would shovel shit. Like, I don't care. Like, let's get this deal done. And then literally I was shoveling shit in that house. Like, so yeah. Wasn't human shit, so that's good.
Okay, all right. Like they say, man, chaos equals cash. Chaos equals cash.
That's a good one. Yeah. But I mean, those are relatively, you know, all our first deals there. Is like, I know we got several people watching right now. Is there any questions that anybody has now that you figure would make a good show for next week?
Let's hear your comments. Questions.
Going over the comments here, we got Daniel LeBlanc. He's saying his first deal ever he got for $8,000.
That's usually what we pay for land transfer fee here.
That must have been But yeah, like, I mean, those are. Anybody else have anything to add? Like something you have like a funny story or something like that that we could just quickly before we wrap up here from one of your deals that you've done, something that not usual.
Oh man, well, that's a good one, man. If I have some time to think about it, I'm sure I could come up with. I think that first deal was pretty unique. You know, just buying the place that my buddy owned like a few doors down and not knowing it, and then ended up buying his place from him at the same, just when he listed it and not knowing that he listed it, that was pretty ironic for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, well, why don't we just wrap it up for now, and then we'll just figure out something that to talk about next week, and then we'll go from there.
We talk about upcoming deals. We can
talk
about deals if you guys want.
Anything,
yeah, man,
that we got going on too, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
Leave it open, or we could leave it open for people to leave comments later on. Maybe we'll throw that up as a post on the page. If anybody has an idea they'd like to hear us talk about, you can just put it on our page. We're going live on Facebook. So why don't we just wrap it up for here and just say goodbye to everybody.
We're going live. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care, folks.
Take care.
Bye.